All right, good afternoon, my awesome students. Today, what we want to talk about are our forms of energy. So, that is the next unit that we are going to be studying. But before we get to those notes, I wanted to give you guys a couple of reminders. Number one, this would be a really good day to make sure your journal is 100% caught up. That includes your table of contents. So if you look right here, we should be on the second page of table of contents right now. Please make sure every single one of your pages is in your table of contents. And also on page 14, remember I told you that was our physical science cover page. A lot of you still have that blank. So what you at least need to have is physical science. And then now that we've learned a lot more topics about physical science, you can start adding those pictures or words to describe physical science all around it. Okay, so please make sure that we are doing that. Okay, so energy. Okay, so I want you to think, just think about your everyday life. Think about what you do when you first wake up, how you're able to see what you're doing, just the things you use every day, whether it's cooking, coming to school. A lot of you have phones. Think about what all of these things do for us and how they work. Okay, it all takes energy. Okay, and energy is simply the ability to do work, and that's what we're going to be learning about today. So what I need you to do is turn to page 26 and 27 in your journal. You should have a little piece of paper with the transformers on it, and you should also have a 5-flap foldable. We will be getting those in our journals and taking our fabulous notes on energy. Okay, so we want to talk about energy and all the forms of energy that we see and use every single day. Okay, so you need to turn to pages 26 and 27 in your journals, and we are going to go ahead and get our journal set up. Now, this is really important. What you need to do is, so your title for page 26 is what is energy. The title for page 27 is Forms of Energy Notes. We know that today is October 10th. So we want to put the date on both pages. We also want to make sure we put it in our updated table of contents. When you are gluing in the Transformers picture, make sure you glue it, cut off as much as you can and glue it right here. You are more than welcome to color it on your own time if you would like. The one thing to note before you get started here is that you will need about 7 lines at the bottom of the page. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you might want to go ahead and just draw a line right here and then write a day in my life and number it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this should be our page set up for page 26. So if you would like to pause the video, you can to get that set up. Now, as far as page 27 goes, you should have your little 5-flap foldable. It's similar to that scientific method one where the only thing that's going to get glued down is this tiny long rectangle on the left side. So the thing that you want to make sure you do is that when you glue down the flap, that the flaps come open. So we're going to be writing on this part, so each flap needs to flip open so that you can take notes on each form of energy. So go ahead and pause the video and get page 26 and page 27 set up. Once you have it set up, go ahead and click play, and we will be ready to learn about the fabulous, fabulous world of energy. Okay, so the first thing we need to know is we need to even know what energy is. And what we are going to do is we're going to create actually a learning goal for ourselves so that we know exactly what we need to learn by the end of this unit. So what you're going to write is learning goal. And we're going to start doing this for all of our units so that we know exactly what we as students are responsible for knowing. Okay, so what you are going to need to know, so you're going to write, I will know the 5 forms of energy and how I use them in every day life. Okay, so that is our learning goal, to know the 5 forms of energy and how I use them in everyday life. Now, as you guys know, it's hard for me to write small on the Mimeo, so this may not take up that much room. We want to make sure in our journals we are never writing too big, but also not too small. So that is our learning goal for today. Then our big definition is energy. Oops. Okay, so energy is the ability to do work. Okay? And work, it's not just, working on a test or I'm a teacher, that's my job, it's my work. Work is just anything we do. Okay? So it could be as simple as picking up my pencil, that requires work, or writing on this Mimeo, that requires work. You getting out of bed requires work. Okay? So the ability to do work is energy. If I don't have energy, then I can't do the work. Okay? So that's what I mean by when I say energy is the ability to do work. Now, you're probably curious why I had you guys glue in this picture of a transformer. Okay, so a transformer, he is symbolizing what energy does. Okay, so the really big thing to know about energy is that energy cannot be created or destroyed. But it can be transformed from one form to another. Okay, so that's why I put the picture of the transformer, because it's going to represent our energy transforming from one form to another. So now I know girls, maybe not all the girls are into Transformers, but boys, you may be more familiar with Transformers. I know that's one of my all-time favorite movies. But you know that, like Bumblebee, so he transforms from a big robot and then he can transform into a car. And then as the car, he can transform into a robot. Okay, so he's not being created, he's not being destroyed, he's simply transforming from one form to another. So that's what energy does. Okay, so think about your iPhone or your smartphone or your computer, or even how you're watching this video. You had to turn a device on. And when you turn that on, it requires electrical energy. And then all of a sudden that electrical energy transforms into another form of energy, allowing you to either see the screen or hear me speak. Okay? So that electrical energy is transformed into another form. It is transformed into light, and it is also transformed into sound. Okay, so that's what I mean by when I say energy can be transformed from one form of energy to another. All right, now what I want you guys to do is a quick little brainstorm activity about your life and energy. So I had you at the bottom of this page write a day in my life and number it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what I want you to do is give me 6 activities that you do every day, just normal daily activities. Now, what I want you to do is because we're going to come back to this activity after we learn about our 5 forms. Don't fill up each line. So leave a little bit of space. We're gonna write in some stuff on the right side after we learn a little bit more. So, for example, for number 1, I'm gonna say that I brush my teeth. Okay, and notice how I left all this space. Okay, I'm gonna leave this blank. I'm gonna put a little dash and leave it blank. Okay, so every morning I brush my teeth. Okay, every morning I turn on lights. Okay, so it can be as simple as that. So give me 6 activities you do every day. It could be playing video games, it could be using the computer, getting in the car, just anything you normally do every day. Okay, so you can go ahead and pause the video, come up with your 6 daily activities, and then you need to turn to page 27, and we will be ready to learn about our 5 forms of energy. Okay, so we should now be on page 27. And like I said, there are 5 forms of energy. So on here, you're going to write our 5 forms. So we are going to talk about sound energy. You're going to leave this space blank for an illustration. We have light energy, thermal energy, mechanical energy, and electrical energy. Okay, so these are our 5 forms of energy. You are probably familiar with quite a few of them, but we want to make sure we know what these definitions are and how we see them in everyday life. Okay, so the first one we're going to start with is sound. Okay, we know what sound is. It's energy that we hear. Okay, so what we want to write now, when you're doing these, make sure you're staying within the flap for that form of energy. We don't want to move on to anything else. Okay, so sound, it's produced by what we call vibrations. Okay, and we'll talk more about that in class tomorrow, but sound, it's produced by vibrations. It travels, some of you may have heard of like sound waves. Okay, so sound travels in what we call waves. And it's sound that we can hear. Okay, so go ahead and I want you to get those notes down. So it's produced by vibrations, it travels in waves, and we can hear it. Okay, so that is sound energy. Now what you're going to do is after you write your definition for sound energy, you're going to go back to your cover. And then you're going to write a picture that represents sound energy. So I'm going to draw a little iPod with some headphones. Okay, so whatever picture represents sound to you, so there's music, yours does not have to be the same drawing as mine. When you think of sound and you think of sound energy, what do you think of? So you'll draw that on the cover. All right, and remember, at any point you can stop the video to get the notes down if you need to pause it. Our next form of energy we said was light. Okay, so light energy, let me get to my flap. Okay, so light energy, now sound we can hear, light we can see. Okay, so we're going to use this word visible. It's a fancier word for see. So energy visible to us. Okay, so that's energy we see. Okay, now we said sound travels in waves. Sometimes light travels in waves, but it also travels in a straight line. okay, or waves. Okay, we have some natural sources. What are some natural sources? So, out in nature or just natural sources of light that you can think of. What always gives us light every day? Good, the sun. And also, we can say that fire is a natural source of light. Okay? Then, just like you did before, you'll go back and you will give me a picture of light. So, I think I'm going to draw an eye because it's energy that we see. Okay? But you could also, let's see, I could also draw that is not a very good light bulb. Let me redo that. I could draw a light bulb. Okay, so it's anything that gives off light. Okay? Our next form of energy is going to be thermal energy. Thermal is just a fancy word for heat. Okay, so this is also known as heat energy. Okay, and it's basically just a transfer of heat between two materials. Okay, so it is the transfer of heat. Okay, and we know this, if my molecules are moving faster, am I going to have more or less thermal energy? Good, I'm going to have more, so that's more thermal energy. The hotter my substance, that hotter that water, the faster the molecules are moving, so I'm going to have even more thermal energy. Okay, so we want to draw another picture. So we know, we said the sun can give light, but the sun can also give what? Heat. So it's also a form of thermal energy. So if you think about it, some objects or some things in this world actually can produce and give off more than one form of energy. Okay, so we have two more left. Our next one is mechanical energy. Mechanical energy, and we can remember it because both of these words start with an M. Mechanical energy is simply energy of motion. Okay, so mechanical motion. Motion is simply anything that is moving. Okay, so when you move across the room, you're using mechanical energy. You get in your car, that car is moving. It is mechanical energy. When you are writing these notes, that is using mechanical energy because something is moving. Okay, so that's what you need to remember when you think of mechanical energy. Now, when we think of mechanical energy, I actually can break it down into these two fancier forms of energy called kinetic energy and potential energy. And we're going to learn more about that in a couple weeks, but it is a good thing to start being introduced to right now. So kinetic energy is my energy when that object is actually moving. So I have a moving object. And then on the other hand, I can have what they call potential energy. Okay, potential just means you have the ability to do something. So you have a lot of potential to be successful this year, meaning you have the ability to be successful this year. So potential energy is when that object is at rest. So an object at rest has the potential to move. And so that's what we mean by potential energy. The object at rest, it has the potential to go somewhere. It has the potential to move. So that is what we say for potential energy. Now, what you need to know is that this mechanical energy, that M, stands for moving. Okay? So you can draw a little picture of something moving, anything you want. It could be a bike. I like to draw a roller coaster because that's fun. So we know a roller coaster is in move. Those cars are moving. So we might draw the little roller coaster car and the people going down. But like I said, your picture can be anything you want as long as it shows something moving, energy of motion. Okay, our last form of energy is one that we are really familiar with, electrical energy. Okay, so electrical energy, we've got this fancy word that we need to say. Inside different things, there's charged particles, and electrical energy is the movement of what we call electrons. Okay, electrons are simply charged particles. Okay, they're movement of electrons through a circuit. Okay, you guys all learned about circuits last year, so you know what I'm talking about when that energy flows through those conducting wires. Okay, so it's movement of electrons through a circuit. And electrical energy, I mean, we use it every day. We use it in the classroom. That's how we were able to turn on the projector, how we're able to turn on the lights, the computers, the Chrome pads. It doesn't just magically come from the school. It has to come from somewhere else. And it's produced in a power plant. And we'll, again, talk more about power plants as the year goes on. But it's produced in power plants from our fossil fuels and alternative energies. And I know that you guys learned this in 4th grade. And we will, like I said, talk more about these topics as the year goes on, but it is really good for you to know that, you know, the electricity that we use every day, that you use in your house, that we use at school, it travels, it comes from a big power plant. And that's where you see all those wires. If you're ever driving and you see those tall pieces of wood with the wires, that's electricity flowing through there and coming to the school and allowing us to turn on the lights and use all of the things that we have. Okay, so those are our 5 forms of energy. Tomorrow we will investigate different objects and all the types of energy that they produce and that they use. So come prepared tomorrow, ready to investigate with your scientist brain on.